So I'm almost finished this pouch. I'm just going to whip stitch this down. This is the lining. I chose a neutral lining just to kind of calm it all down, although it's not really wildly colored. But I'll lift it up a little so you can see. It actually turned out very nice. I'm very pleased with it. So I'm going to whip stitch this sides down and this end here. This is the bottom end. And the top I'm going to leave open because I am making my closure from here. And I need to insert something here, and you need to insert some ties here, and then I will close this end up. And then all I have to do is put it together, sew it together, and put on the button, and I'm done. It is going to have a button closure, and we are going to attempt to make a button today. But before we do that, I just want to show you the other one that I'm working on. It is not near as far as this one, but it's coming along too. This one is going to be, I decided late last night while I was just putting this on that this is going to be my giveaway. And it's not going to be finished for Sunday. I can tell you that much. And I'm recording this today is Friday. So I really don't think I'm going to be ready for Sunday's video, which is the video that you're going to be watching this on, to announce the giveaway. So we'll have to maybe do it the following week. I want this finished so that you can see exactly what the giveaway will be, but this will be my giveaway, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so I'm going to show you the other one that I'm working on. This is how that other one will look. It's a trifold pouch just like this one is. This is the top of this one, this is the bottom. And I'll show you. This is how far I've gotten with this one. This part is mostly done. This is mostly done. I just have a little bit to do here. This is mostly done. I'm going to put this across here like this. And then this I'm just going to stitch on top of it. This part, which is going to be the top, I'll show you. I've already started on one of these flowers here. I've started to stitch on top of it. I'm going to do that with all of them. And I've done a stem here, which I have done a couching stitch on. I'm going to do that with all the green. And then if you can see, it's got all these little wiggly lines in there. I'm going to stitch all those lines. And that's pretty much what I'm going to do. I might put a little bit of lace right at the corner here, but it's going to fold over like this. And I might have just a little piece of lace here, but what I am going to do is I'm going to put this ribbon like this here, just to kind of pop that up a little bit, and then maybe a little piece of lace here, and that's how that one's going to be. And this one might have a different type of closure. I don't think I'll use a button. I think I'll just have a long tie that I'll just wrap around for this one. So once I've finished these two, I want to make two wider ones. I need one to be 9.5, 10 inches wide because I ordered something and it's going to live in a pouch, and I'm going to tell you about that later on. So let's try and make some buttons, shall we? This is an experiment for me. I've never made buttons, but I have used the medium that we're going to try and make the buttons on. So let's try that. Before I do the buttons, I've also used some scraps, and I'm making some bookmarks for Gary. I actually put the scraps together on the machine, and I thought, oh, these would make good bookmarks. They're nice and flat. And so I will stitch. I'm just doing some blanket stitching on the ends so far, but I might do some fancy stitching, and I might put a few little embellishments on there. But yeah, so that's another thing you can make, is some nice big bookmarks for your man or your son or yourself. You could make them pretty for yourself. Okay, buttons. Here we go. Okay, we're going to need some kind of modeling clay. And yesterday I made my own. This is dough, clay dough, made out of bread crumbs, not bread crumbs, bread. crumbled bread, white glue, and glycerin. And the very first video I ever made 11 years ago was on how to make this. So I did record it, but then I kind of thought, why am I doing the same thing again? So I will put the link to this video up here in an iCard for you. It is super easy to make. It's very messy to make. It's not something that, if you don't like getting your hands dirty, you're not going to want to do this. But you make this, I doubled the recipe. And the recipe is 3 slices of white bread with the crust removed, crumbled very finely, 3 tablespoons of white glue, and 1/2 teaspoon of glycerin. And glycerin you can get in the stores. Usually pharmacies sell glycerin. So, and then you crumble the breadcrumbs very, very fine. You add the glue and the glycerin, and then you just work it in your hands until it becomes like this. And it does take some time. It took me, I doubled the recipe and I got this much, which is quite a bit. And it took me about 40 minutes to get it to this state. So, you know, if you try it and you think you're not getting anywhere, just keep on going. It will eventually turn like this. And it's beautiful, beautiful molding clay. So this is something that you don't bake. It's not like Fimo that you put in the oven and bake. In fact, I might try and bake it. I've never ever done that. I've always just let it dry normally. But this, most of the times you do not bake this. You just let it dry and it dries beautiful. And it's the glycerin in it that allows it to dry really nice. Now, this has been in the fridge, so it's sticking to me a little bit. So this is what I'm going to try and make my buttons out of. And I'm doing this because I was watching Roxy and she was making buttons for her pouch out of Fimo. And I thought, oh, you know what? I could try this out of my own stuff. Now, this, I have made this for years. I used to make all kinds of things with this for my miniature passion. I was into miniatures and doll houses, and I made flowers and all the bakery that was in the dollhouse, like all the kitchen stuff. I did everything out of this. I've made eyes for my little crochet bears are all made out of this. And you can use it this way and then paint it, or what I like to do is I like to color it. So what I do is I just take my paint and I just make a little hole and I stick it in, and then I just work it in. I was having so much problems before when I was recording this. I don't actually know how much got recorded. So I decided to bring my mess down here to the kitchen where I have access to the sink because my hands were so dirty and sticky and full of paint that I couldn't do anything. But I did put the ones that I did upstairs, if that part works out. I did put them in the oven. And here they are. It took about 20 minutes, but they turned out really nice actually. I flipped them over halfway through. I think they're not quite 100% dry, but they're not bad. So I'm working on new ones and I'm putting them in the oven. I never did this before. I've never actually put this in the oven before, but it's actually, I was hoping that it wouldn't dry them out, and it didn't. They're nice. They do need to be shellacked, which is fine, but they turned out pretty good. So I'll show you what I'm doing now. After I colored up a whole bunch of different little balls, and I'm working on one ball at a time instead of, you know, mucking up my hands and everything. But I have some over here that I've made. These haven't been baked yet, but I painted on these just with a toothpick. I just painted that one. This one I just cut it out with a little cookie cutter, and then I had a, so let me grab it if I can find it again. I had this brooch, and I just set the brooch down very gently, and it made a little impression in there. This one, I had another brooch with a rose, and I dipped it in a little bit of ink and just blotted it around. This one, I had an old ring, and I just ran it around. And this one is just. So I'm going to do some more. You can watch me while I do them. And then we're going to bake all of these. I'm going to fill this tray up and we'll bake them. They're okay to sit here until I bake them because they're drying as they sit here too. So it's just fine. So I'm going to put you in the holder now, and then I'll turn you back on. I hope you're going to be able to see this. I'm going to work on these blue ones. So I've already got the dough colored. And I'm just using a jar to roll it out. And then I'm going to make a big one, so I'll use this cutter. Maybe I'll make two big ones. It works quite well on this parchment. It's much easier. So I think I might do a little painting on this one. I apologize for Chip. She thinks I'm talking to her. And I'm not, Chip. I'm not talking to you at all. So I'm just going to paint them. I'm going to put a yellow daisy on here. Just using a toothpick. I have no idea how this will bake on. I'm sure it will, but this is an experiment, total experiment. And I'll put a bigger one, maybe right here. Yeah, have to remember you got to put a hole in these, or a couple of holes. So okay, and I will put some stems on. I better get a new. I'll be very interested to see how these painted ones come out after they've been baked. And I need a little squirt of white. Where's my white? There it is. Just for the center. Now this one, I'm just gonna do white all over the place first. I kind of like that. I did with that other one. It reminds me of stitching blobs. And I might put a little bit of yellow in here too. I'm just making funny little buttons. That's all I'm doing. Okay, so now we have to put the little holes in them. So what I do is I just hold it in my hand, and where do I want the holes? One there, pull it right through, and one there, and pull it right through. And it'll go over here. Oh. It fell on its face. I saved it. Kind of like these mishmashy ones. All the way through. And all the way through. And I have a little bit more, so I'm going to flatten it out. Again. And I'm going to cut out some small ones. This one, I'm just using distress ink because that's all I have. I don't have a lot of this kind of stuff. I'm not really into stamping or that kind of thing, but I do have a few little pieces. So I think I'm going to try this. I have this butterfly thing. I'm just going to rub this on here. I have no idea if that's even doing anything. I don't think it is. And I'm just going to pop that on there like that. Oh, I might do that again. There's no color on it. Sort of looks like a bird. Yeah. It's not great, but it's not horrible either. That one, I'm just going to put that bead on there. And somehow lift it off. Maybe with a toothpick. Ugh, no. Oh, that's cool. I like that. Oh, I'll have to do some more of those. Those are cool. All right, so now I have to put holes in these for buttholes. Get them off of here. That one turned out pretty cute. So I'll put a hole here and a hole here. Off center it is, but that's okay. That one hold in. Sometimes the holes want to close up right away. And actually, when I turn them over, when I bake, I re-poke the holes from the back. So we'll put holes in this one. Actually, it very much does look like a bird. I like that. And there's a little bit of, I don't know if you can even see any of this. I'm having such issues with recording lately. The other thing I was thinking I could do is put some beads in here. And actually, I might just go and get some seed beads and see if I can do that. Chip. Ooh, that's pretty. That's very pretty. That's extremely pretty. I wish I had more I could do that way. That's pretty, just like that. 2 holes in the middle. I like that one. All right, we'll roll this again. And what can I do with this one? Like that. And I don't care if they're perfectly round. In fact, I prefer them not to be perfectly round. I like the odd shaped ones. That one's pretty. Here's the, there was 4 balls, little tiny balls. I put them together like this. Now I'm going to roll them out. And we'll see what we get. hopefully it'll be something cool. Ooh, that is cool. All right, do one here. And I'll just keep rolling it. I like that. It's very nice. I go through a lot of. I'm just going to leave this one just as it is because I like it just as it is. It's actually quite thick too. I need to do it a little bit thinner. Ooh, that's even prettier still. Where's my... That's very nice. Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to add this pink one to this, and then I'm going to put these ones in the oven because they're looking a little dry and I don't want them to dry out. So we'll put these two together, see what we get. Ooh, that's kind of pretty. And the back is often different than the front. There's one side and there's the other. I think I like this side better. Doesn't really matter. Okay, here's what I'm going to put in the oven now. So I'm going to bake them for 10 minutes and then I'm going to turn them. I'm on 210 degrees Fahrenheit. So we'll see how these turn out. I really hope that you enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun. It was messy, but it was a lot of fun. And I haven't actually played around with that bread dough clay for a few years now, so it was good to get my hands dirty. I will show you a few of the things that I have made in the past with them, and I forgot to bring them here, so I just pause you for 1 second. So back in the 70s was when I started doing this, early 70s, and I was making things like this, roses. These have not been colored. This was just the plain, and they've aged over the years, and they're hard. You can hear how hard they are. And these have never been shellacked either. But this was the kind of thing I started making when I first started doing them. And then I found out how to color them, so I started making roses that were colored. None of this was shellacked though. Where are you? There you are. Little tiny roses. I mean, these are really, really small. And there's a pizza for the dollhouse. And then even as small as these little lilies. Some of this we used in eggs when we were making eggery. I know I've got an egg that my mom made. It's an Easter egg. It's an egg about Easter. Let's put it that way. It's not an Easter egg. It's an egg about Easter. And she made a cross out of a toothpick, and then she has these leaning up against the cross inside the egg, and it's beautiful. This is all made out of bread dough. And then I don't know how I can possibly show you these little cinnamon buns that I made. Where are you? There you are. I don't know. I gotta do it with this hand. Actually, these weren't cinnamon buns. These were chocolate rolls or something. Yeah, so that's just a little tiny sample of things that I've made. I've made so much stuff with this. I've even made little dolls, little small dolls, Raggedy Ann and Andy's. Oh, I'll go get my Raggedy Ann. Hold on, I should have been more organized. Here's my little Raggedy Ann. Her face is made out of bread dough. And her hands. And her boots and her legs. She's old. I should repaint her. She's very, very old. And she's very small. Look at how small she is. She's sitting on the top of my hand. Yeah, she's very old. So there's lots of things you can do with this. It's just like working with Fimo. But actually she needs her clothes washed too. She sits up on a shelf in the nook. Anyway, I hope you did enjoy that, and I just want to quick tell you, I mentioned when I was talking about the pouches that I wanted to do a couple that are wider, and the reason is that I ordered myself a handmade Turkish spindle. Now, I don't know if you remember, was that 2 years ago? Probably by now, a year and a half, 2 years ago. I was a recipient of the traveling spindle, and I had never used a Turkish spindle up until that point. And through all that, I met another vlogger who's from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Soxy Nana Alice. She's a fantastic knitter. Go and check her out and give her some love. She's Soxy Nana Alice. That's her YouTube channel. But she had a fellow make her handmade Turkish spindle, and so I got his address and I've ordered one, and he's been sending me pictures of the progress of making my spindle. And it's almost ready. It's now at the point where his wife is going to do some wood burning decorating on it. And so I'm really excited to be getting that, and I want to make a pouch right for that little spindle for itself. And it's I think he said it's 9.5 inches long. So that's why I want to make one a little bit wider. So when I finish these two, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make myself, and I'm going to make Soxy Nana Alice one too for her spindle, because she's the one that clued me in on it. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to give the bread dough recipe a try, there is a video, my very first video ever. Actually, I think it was more like 11 or 12 years ago that I put that up on YouTube. And I start from start to finish on how to make it. If you have arthritis or sore hands, it might not be for you. But if you have sore hands and you want to exercise them, it's a perfect thing to do to get your hands moving. But it will take a while. It will take, if you just do the basic recipe, it should take about a half an hour before you feel that it's actually going to be dough. Until you watch the video and you'll see. So thank you so much for watching. Take care, everybody, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.